episode, and it was before I got my hair cut. And I'm like, wow, that was a lot of hair.
Hello, welcome to issue 636 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Bean Rita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashitani.
Well, how's it going, everybody?
I got a haircut.
I feel bad that... When did you get the haircut?
Thursday.
Okay, well, in my defense, I would not have noticed your haircut on Saturday evening.
It's not a super noticeable haircut. It's technically a shag, and I took like 6 inches off. But like, long hair is just long hair.
That's true.
And I have not yet figured out how to wash and style my hair so that you can tell that this is a shag.
What is a shag?
Oh my god, I'm not good at describing what it is, but essentially it's a lot of layers, and it's supposed to have this like very like, there's no like smooth edges, there's no like well-defined shape. It's very deconstructed.
Okay.
Is that the right word?
But carefully
Shattered.
constructed to look deconstructed.
Shattered. The shape, the outline is shattered, I guess. I don't know. Someone in the chat will probably have a much better way of describing it, because the shag has been around for a great many years.
Well, I mean, eventually...
70s. It was originated in the 70s.
Yes.
I mean, knowing a lot of people in our chat, the moment they say they will help us out with what a chat is, they're going to be like, that's British for fucking, because it's our, you know.
And I will politely ignore those comments because, duh.
Sure.
All right, Austin. Okay, Austin Powers.
Well, you know, it was before that, right?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Austin Powers is a character from the 60s. A character who was supposed to have been from the 60s.
Yes.
Words are hard today. It has been
correct.
Weird day.
Hey, Steve Coker's watching us on Facebook Live, and him showing up reminded me that even though he's asked me repeatedly, I keep forgetting to send him the fucking video of his appearance to promote his Kickstarter for the Dex Dixon game, because I am an awful, awful person.
You're not an awful person. You're in the middle of promoting your own comic, which comes out in 2 weeks.
More than that. I think it is the 30th now.
Oh, that's right. It's the 30th. It comes out at the end of this month, which means you're going to be doing your own promotion all month long. Steve is doing his own promotion for his game, Dex Dixon. So I'm pretty sure that you're not a horrible person. You're both just super busy.
Thank you, Cable. That's very nice.
Well, I'm here to remind you that everything that's happening right now for you, Aaron, is okay. You don't have to do everything.
Thank you. And also, Steve just said it's cool. I made an audio version of our appearance. You didn't need the video anyway.
Promoters of a feather.
Give it to
See,
him, but...
Steve understands. This is why I like Steve.
Yeah. I want to point out that while you were doing that, Bean was still like, you still should have given him the video.
No, I'm saying you still can.
No, I still can't. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I save that kind of talk for off mic.
Yes. After 2 beers.
I don't need beers to tell you what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah, but you really let me know after 2 beers.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
She's basically letting me continue to look like the wise old monk of the show.
I don't want to take that away from you.
What I pay her
I thought
for.
You guys were just playing good cop, bad cop kind of thing.
I think that's what we do naturally. And what's fun is when we know to flip the script without talking about it.
And that does kind of terrify me, to be honest. So,
I mean, as a Gemini married to another Gemini, I'm very used to taking turns at being one or the other at this point.
And I'm just a ball of sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's enough.
You're the distraction.
Oh. So on the show this week, we're going to do more of our Avatar deep dive. I think we'll give kind of our thoughts on Peacemaker overall. and what we think about where Discovery is leading through episode 10, which was last Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the show. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. I got so used to saying, and that's the show, my brain goes, okay, hit stop.
I think that we're finally into geek season. Like it seemed like January and February were fairly light, and now we're back into it because Spider-Man No Way Home is finally supposed to hit Disney Plus this month. Moon Knight debuts. Picard season 2 debuts. Like Doctor Strange is around the corner in May. Same
new
with
seasons. Strange New Worlds is right around the corner in May.
Strange New Worlds is in May. Obi-Wan Kenobi is in May.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I believe it lands on May the 5th this year. Kenobi is May the 5th.
May 25th, which is the day Star Wars actually came out.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're about like the tsunami is building. So
I know this will sound incredibly surface and first world because there's real shit going on, but I'll be extra pissed if Putin actually launches World War III and I miss out on all of this shit. Yes, I know humanity, blah 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 blah, but god damn it.
I mean, certain wheels are gonna keep turning, regardless of that. Just because I think, like, culturally, we've gotten into like a very creature comforts kind of a mindset.
Capitalism. The word you're looking for is capitalism.
Yeah.
It keeps turning because
think about all of the things that did not stop just because there was a global pandemic going on. And technically speaking, if this sets off another, like global war, we're not necessarily going to be involved in it. And even if we are, it's not happening here yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right away. Maybe eventually, but at first.
And mind you,
we're real good at sitting back and just looking the other way as long as it's not impacting us directly.
I like that cynical take from Denise. I'm actually going to not go my usual doom and gloom and say to everybody is we all know that things are going on in the world. Like, our listeners are smart enough that they know things are going on in the world, and they're benevolent enough that I'm sure that they are doing what they need to do to help out, just like we do. We do whatever we can, little parts that we can to make the world a better place. As Aaron has shepherded us through the entire pandemic, saying, let's be the refuge. Let's be the refuge. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, you're right. We do not have to focus on that right now.
Also, if he angers the mouse like shit is on, then
there's
do you think Disney's a corporation actually has like hitmen? This is a dark turn the show took. And if they don't, I want to write a story. I couldn't actually call them Disney. It'd be how, like, when they tried to make anyway, there was a movie called Free Enterprise about these two writers that want to try to get William Shatner in their movie or whatever, but they weren't sure they could get the rights to use the word Star Trek, so they were going to call like this fake show like Star Voyage or something like that. And they're like, well, you can't fucking do that. So this would be like my pitch would be like, okay, it's totally supposed to be Disney, but we can't say Disney, and that Disney has like wet works. Anyway, yeah,
it would be the Hasta La Vista division of Buena Vista.
Thanks. I hate it.
I hate how good that is. Oh, damn it. You could actually just call the title Hasta La Vista.
Yeah.
I just want to share real quick that Bex said there are a few joy escapes in this world and we don't want to lose out on them, which I am 100% inferring she means we are one of the few joys in her life, and I'm just gonna take that all the way to the bank.
Oh, thanks, Bex.
The bank of my ego.
Yes.
I like Bex a lot for someone I've never met.
She's pretty great.
Mhm.
Agree.
There's only one more important on this ship than my ego. I want it shot and killed right now. Getting little Zaphod there on us, Bean.
Mhm.
I'm just this guy, you know?
It's just this bean, you know?
Just this being, you know?
Also, I'm pretty sure that Disney has its own nukes. So
But they have
The the spires of Cinderella's castle.
oh no, it's
Like,
what's
actually-
underneath Epcot.
Oh no, that is probably better located.
Yeah. And the Fallout smells like churros.
Okay, now Bex and I are gonna have to talk because apparently we've met.
You have probably met her quickly at conventions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have the memory of a squirrel at conventions. I'm very friendly and
Sensory overload.
am very good at that. Oh, it's great to see you. I love yeah, we'll catch up later, blah blah blah. And then that's gone like 20 minutes later.
What's fun is when I'm around Cable when he does that, and sometimes like he'll look at me and be like, I know them, but who are they? To which I respond with, I'm the one who remembers people worse than you. And he's like, damn. It's not the Cable and I don't want to remember people. We're just trash at it.
It's also so that like that look is also supposed to indicate quick, go to Facebook, look up who this is.
Oh, whoops-a-daisy.
Now you know. Bean, if you're around and I throw that look, that's what that look means. It's like,
Oh man, I do like whatever.
Don't waste your time throwing it at me.
Yeah,
dude.
I do like one of her assassin names though, the Maleficent Bastards. Also, Twitch, did you edit the word bastards? You did.
Yes, it did.
Oh my
That is a much better. That's a better title than mine.
That's weird because I can say fuck. I also want to give a shout out to the Diz kneecappers.
That's not a hostile message.
Being the reason why you can say and type fuck is that you are part of the home feed of the thread of the show.
Oh.
I do have a pretty strong comment
I don't know what
blocker.
that means.
Since your text is coming from the show that's feeding into Twitch, you are essentially commenting as an admin.
Gotcha.
Nope, I'm not able to chat from the stream. We've talked about this. I'm directly on Twitch.
He still means that on Twitch you're listed as a moderator.
Yeah.
So you can swear.
Oh, did you do that?
Yes, you both have that.
Thanks.
But I have a pretty heavy block on there to prevent.
Better safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes that means I have.
See
Yeah, sometimes that means I have to approve a comment from usually Norm or Sat. Not that it's bad, but it falls within the parameters of a heavily filtered Twitch chat. So,
cool.
Tight. A little behind the scenes there. What should we start first?
We usually end with Avatar. Let's start with Avatar.
That sounds good. As we start, like Cable, I'll let you kind of run with this to start us off.
Mm-hmm.
I got a really interesting direct message from a listener, Lauren, who's been following our Avatar, the show, but she wrote this interesting thing where she is actually seeing parallels with why the Fire Nation is so aggressive and how Russia is acting now. It's a nation in decline trying to reclaim its once glorious empire.
Ooh.
And I was like, well, that's an interesting way to start to continue watching this show.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
all right.
Yep. Yeah.
I like that observation.
Yeah.
Thus far, what I've seen of the Fire Nation, that works. Especially when we start talking about episode 12. But we'll start with episode 9, which is the waterbending scroll.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to share this because I'm like so pleased with myself. Not only did I watch all of the episodes, I took notes on all 4 episodes. I mean, granted, I was also like doing my plant stuff at the same time, but I was actively paying attention and taking notes. It's almost like Old Bean.
That's good because I only got to 11 before I got super busy and distracted again.
That's fair.
Yeah.
For brevity, I'm going to use IMDb's synopses of the episodes.
Yeah.
For the waterbending scroll, Katara, desperate to improve her abilities and teach Aang, steals an expensive waterbending scroll from pirates, causing the pirates to pursue the group.
Yeah.
It's not stated, but the addendum there is hijinks ensue.
And that's kind of what this whole episode felt like me. It was like pirates and hijinks. And while it furthers the plot along, it also kind of stood by itself. And I was like, this is fun.
So for me, the biggest takeaway from the episode, like, yes, it is objectively like mostly just a romp, but it was the moment where Katara like starts to really see like, oh, even though like water bending is the one and only thing that I know how to do, or like I'm able to do, there's a very finite amount of things that I know how to do, and an even more, you know, boiled down list of things I can do well. Meanwhile, Aang as the Avatar is like, oh, this is nothing, you know, and it's and so that's the first time that we see the two of them, to the best of my memory, like essentially butt heads because he's showing her up and she doesn't know how to deal with that.
Made all the more if I agree that the focus on this episode is definitely Katara, and it gives Katara an opportunity to be a flawed character, where she has been very much the brains of the group and the one that holds everyone together and has the speeches in order to inspire Aang to do what he's supposed to be doing. And that's a common trope, especially for female characters. And making her jealous and acting impulsively out of jealousy and envy. It's like, oh, okay, you are human. Now you're interesting.
And not just being jealous, but like also lashing out. You know, but then that also gives the character an opportunity to realize that was shitty of me, and then they work together. They use their powers together to get out of their sticky situation. And I think that's the first time that they've done that too.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that Aang would pick up any other bending quickly.
That's his like raison d'etre.
Yeah. It's also he has, at the age of 12, he's not mastered airbending, but he's certainly trained with it so much that he understands the philosophies behind how bending works.
Yeah.
So if you tell him, oh, these are the motions and this is what you're doing, he already understands the inherent nature of any element bending that Katara may still be learning. And that's why she's trying to figure out it's not just motions, it's also using your spirit, using your anima, whatever they have.
Which, you know, and leads to that line of, my life was hard enough when you were just an airbender. Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed getting to see more of a real Katara, like especially after we got to see Aang kind of bare his soul to her about like, I'm 12 and I really don't want to be this person, and now not only do I have to be this person, shit's about to get real.
Yeah.
Which
pretty much leads right into Jet, the next episode.
Yes.
Oh man.
This is one of the ones directed by Dave Filoni, by the way.
I did notice that.
Cool. Yeah.
Because it got dark pretty quick. So
yes, it does.
Right. Yeah.
In Jet, we have Aang, Katara, and Sokka have their friendship with each other tested by a charismatic rebel leader who is fighting against the Fire Nation. In the description, rebel leader is actually capitalized.
Oh, really?
So someone at IMDb also went, I'm going to do a thing because Dave
I'm gonna do a
Maloney
thing.
also directed this. Fuck you
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah, totally.
And Jet was the name of the rebel leader. So it's pretty much like, Peter Pan and his Lost Boys if they were bloodthirsty murderers.
They kind of are actually, but
They are.
yeah.
Did you say Lost Boys?
Yes.
That is exactly what I put in my notes.
The Lost Boys.
Yeah, I said.
Yeah.
What did I? Hold on, let me go back to the notes. Enter Fire Nation. Enter badass new kid Jet and his band of Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kept waiting for someone to yell out Rufio at times, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Similar look too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Minus the hair.
I think that's Jet. What Jet was supposed to be was an evil version of Rufio.
Right. Well, here's the thing: is I don't think Jet was like intrinsically an evil character. I just think that he is a person who has let the bad things that have happened in his life, like take him to an extreme that takes you from like victim to perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that.
Oh, shit.
No, you know what? I take it back because at the end there, once his malicious plan is thwarted, even his gang is like, yeah, man, you were taking things too far and we need to like rein that shit in. He still wasn't really wanting to hear it. So
Oh, you mean when he reveals his plan to try and kill an entire village? Yeah, that was a little
cool.
much.
yes, but it's not unheard of, for someone to say like, there's these bad guys here, and in order to stop bad things happening to good people, you have to get rid of the bad actors, and that needs to be done by any means necessary. It's not I don't know, that doesn't necessarily feel intrinsically evil to me.
True.
It's misguided, to be sure. Hardcore, wrong way to go, but I don't think that necessarily means you're evil, because the intent is not to hurt innocent people. The intent is to save people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if it hurts other people in the process.
It's the very definition of by any means necessary assumes you're fine with any kind of collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily make you evil, but I don't know. I think that's a weird spectrum of morality on that.
It's definitely a darker, and you need therapy and not to be in charge of people.
Correct.
Or weaponry.
Quick little side note. Speaking, we talked about Rufio.
Mm-hmm.
Zuko is voiced by Dante Bosco, who
yes, it is
Rufio.
Oh,
there is Dante Bosco is actually interviewed on a recent episode of They Call Us Bruce, and he talks briefly about his time on Avatar the Last Airbender. He's super proud of it. If you actually don't know how this show ends, don't watch it because there are spoilers.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I already know how it ends, but so I'm like, oh, yep, knew that.
You just have to keep this to yourself for the whole year.
Yep. How's that line from movie go? Can you keep a secret? Yes, so can I.
So can I. From Clue. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, any more thoughts on the episode or the character of Jet?
I liked this was focused more on Sokka than it did Katara or Aang. Aang and Katara just kind of went along for the ride, and Snap too, when they were like, oh wait, this guy's killing people. No, we're not doing that.
Right.
I liked Sokka being able to go, I really do sometimes know what I'm talking about, and getting affirmed for him also helps his character development.
Right, that's the wrapper of the episode. Is in the beginning they're arguing, right? So Sokka and Katara are arguing about like how one another No, I'm sorry. That's the other one.
That's the
Sokka.
next episode.
Sokka is
Yeah.
like insinuating that he should be the leader. Like there needs to be
Mhm.
a leader, and it should be me. I guess because he's the oldest or whatever. Because he thought of it. But that kind of devolves into like, why would you be the leader? You make terrible decisions, and you don't know what you're doing. And then as the episode progresses, he's the one who's like, this guy's bad news, and no one, and Katara doesn't want to hear it because she's pretty infatuated with this guy. But then he actually does do the smart thing by, like, rather than like pushing his, what he sees onto people who don't want to hear it, he's like, I guess I'm just gonna fix this one on my own. And he really did do the best thing possible with the situation that he was in,
which was save the entire village.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it, from the standpoint of the children's show, it also shows you, it's like your actions have consequences. And in the same way that it's like, if you do a bad thing, bad things are going to happen to you. They showcase that as, if you also do a good thing, that can also be rewarded. And that was the old man that he tried to save from the group. He's like, you're just beating up an defenseless old man. This is not a soldier. This is not a warrior. This is wrong. And that old man going, oh no, this kid tried to save my life. Listen to him. If he says we need to get out of the village, let's get out of the village. So I liked that particular reinforcement of behaviors.
He was able to save the day by having done all of the right things along the way.
Rather than try to fight, like you were saying, trying to convince people who weren't going to listen. He was, or try to fight Jet. It's like, nope, I'm going to do the other thing.
Right.
I can't stop this from happening, but I can change the outcome.
Yeah.
So then moving on to episode 11.
The Great Divide.
Great Divide. Yep. Aang is tested as the Avatar when he must help two feuding clans cross a dangerous canyon peacefully.
Can I just say, I do not like canyon crawlers. Just going to lay that out there. Call them whatever you want. They are still just giant creepy spiders that want to eat me. There.
Yes.
Oh,
So in like as we sort of are going through this discussion, it right now occurs to me like there's a very obvious formula to these episodes. There's some sort of like interaction between the core group that then gets mirrored out in the world as they are going on this journey. And so just like before with the leadership argument, in this episode, it opens with Sokka and Katara fighting over how one another is going about the chores of being on this journey. And Aang pops in and he's just like, okay, if you guys are so annoyed with how each is doing the other's task, why don't you just trade tasks? And so this goes into the topic of like, part of Aang's purpose as the Avatar is to bring people together, almost like this like mystical mediator.
If that was that's been the purpose of the Avatar the entire time, was to keep peace between the 4 different nations, and be this King Solomon type of character the entire time. And that's a lot to put on a 12-year-old or a 112-year-old who's still a 12-year-old.
Who's also still just 12 years old, yeah.
It's a lot to put on anybody.
I do like the place of Aang as like Peacemaker. I feel like this is the one where he has a little spurt of emotional maturity here.
See, I like that. What I like about this episode is the trickster spirit ending.
Oh yeah, okay.
Speaking of, like by any means necessary, he's within reason. He saw that he saw that there are these two groups who just like cannot get along, and he really wishes he knew what the answer would be to solve that. And I think that eventually he realizes like there's maybe no talking to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
The two tribes, I would like to use Ali Wong's description, and that would be fancy Asians and jungle Asians.
Oh,
I mean, we're not going to say that, but you're allowed to say that.
That is how she describes both her and her husband. She's like, we're both half fancy Asian and half jungle Asian. She's like, I'm Chinese and Vietnamese, and he's Japanese and Filipino. And I'm like,
well, okay. Can't fight. Yep.
And then literally they had people in furs, people who clearly practice more tribal nomadic ways, and then you have folks that dress in fancy silks and are very concerned with appearance and courts. And yeah, I'm like, oh man, okay. Fancy Asians and jungle Asians.
That's it. That's all I'm. Yep.
So anyway.
But yeah, I like the fact that Aang takes their belief systems from both sides and turns it into another parable and says, oh, you're right and you're right, but here's how the story actually went. And they all went, oh, that makes so much sense. And then basically straight up said, oh yeah, I made that up. I have no idea.
But that's all it took for them to stop feuding.
Yep. If that wasn't a very thinly veiled, well, maybe heavily veiled for children, but a thinly veiled critique of religion, I don't know what was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially Abrahamic religions.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm sorry. I like it when kid shows pull this stuff off.
Yeah. Which also feels like that was another Filoni episode. But
I was just about to say.
It was not.
It seems very Filoni influenced.
I did like the change in animation for telling the stories. So that there was the regular style of animation for the show, and then 3 different animation styles for telling the fable of the two leaders.
It was a neat way to handle that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always enjoy when different animation styles are introduced. Even if I'm not into those other styles, I appreciate that like they've taken the time and the effort to make it different visually, not just narratively.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
And then the last episode for this block is episode 12, The Storm.
Yeah, not at all ominous in this episode. Not at all.
Oh, no.
This was a big one.
Yep. And so Aang relives the events after finding out that he is the Avatar 100 years ago and tells them to Katara, while Iroh tells the story of Zuko's scar and banishment to the crew of his ship. I think this might have been the episode that I finally went, all right, what else you got? I'm in.
Very similar to you. Because again, like, I've been real kind of like, not meh. Like, I haven't unenjoyed it watching it so far, but I haven't been like, why does this show get such love? And I don't want to disrespect anyone's opinions, but I'm like, I'm not seeing it. This episode is like, oh, is this the big turn? Like, is this the shift? You know?
This is the one where we finally get some real tangible backstory, not just for Aang, but for Zuko, and some hard shit happens. Like some hard to deal with, it's tough to explain to young children shit happens in this episode, and so they make a real meal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff with Zuko and his father is rough. It's really rough.
Yeah,
like more than I would expect from like the age they were going for on this show.
Mm-hmm. And it was a nice reveal of like, oh, Zuko's father is played by Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Great.
Did I know that? I don't think I knew that.
He's got like very few lines, but there's one delivery that I'm like, nope, I recognize those sinister tones. That's Mark Hamill. I got my wires crossed. This is actually the episode where Aang kind of bears his soul to Katara, which is great after Katara has had her own episode in with the waterbending scroll thing.
Yeah.
So he's needed to have this talk, and he just wants to go back to being a kid, and I think he saw this opportunity of coming out of the ice as, hey, I can just do this, and all signs point to, no, it doesn't matter that it's 100 years later. You still have to do this. Now you really have to do this.
Now there's even less time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
This is also the episode where like we get a lot of guilt for Aang. Like most of the time he comes off as just, this goofy, playful kid who doesn't really take things super seriously. Even though they've like been in some like dangerous situations, for 3 kids in the past. This is a lot more existential, I think.
We really get the fact that Aang was studying to be a monk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then found out at a too young age, like really fucking big news.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said that normally they would wait until one was 16 to be told that they are the next Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
But he was 11 or 12.
12.
So that's a lot. That like just like think about like how different a 12-year-old is from a 16-year-old. That's a big burden. And then that is compounded by the fact that first his change in status like gets him ostracized with the other children. Mm-hmm. He had nothing. They had like no control over that, and like he can explain like I'm the same guy I've always been, just because now we know that I'm supposed to become the Avatar. I'm no more powerful than I was yesterday, but people don't want to interact with him in the same way anymore because they perceive him as being more powerful.
Yeah.
And then to think that your guardian, like the one person who still like looks out for you and cares about what you want in life, is going to be taken away from you. And he obviously does have a lot of anger about it even now. And I mean, like, of course he does. It's been 100 years, but he wasn't really living those 100 years. He was in stasis essentially.
Yep. The same way Bucky or Steve Rogers were like 100 years old. They were asleep for most of that.
So it doesn't quite count.
No.
Yeah. You have not had 100 years to process those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And is this the end of season 1?
This is not the end of season 1.
Okay.
We are now we've now got 2 episodes of our show to complete season 1 though.
Okay. I thought we were getting close. Yeah.
Yeah. The next time we've got episodes 13 through 16. And then after that will be 17 through 20. And that will be the end of season 1.
Right.
And season 1 does end with another 2-parter.
That's what okay. Cool.
I remember to write that down.
So yeah, I'm still, I haven't forgotten, and like I'm still processing Planet of the Asians in my head, but I am more interested and invested in seeing where this show goes. So I've admitted it.
I'm I'm much more invested in the character of Zuko now than I was before, because now we know that he started out as an okay kid, like with like some modicum of a moral compass, and the Zuko that we know now at this point at 12 episodes in is
Right.
not who he naturally is. I think is the way of putting it. That's not his instinct. It's who he thinks he needs to be.
I'm not going to give anything away, but like I said, Dante Bosco, Zuko is like one of his favorite roles ever. Like, he loves the fact that people still call him Rufio. He loves the fact that people call him Zuko.
Yes.
He loves both of them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, he's really engaged with his fans too, which is pretty cool. Well, cool. Yeah, this felt like the first kind of chunks of the show I've seen where I feel more personally invested in the character and stories now. Yeah.
So it only took 12 episodes to get to a point where they...
Yeah.
That's kind of a lot, I think. But again, we're here for this show with a very critical eye from day one, and we're also not the age demographic. So I'm sure that if someone more age appropriate or even just like closer to the target was watching it and not watching it with the purpose, with the 100% intent of critiquing it, very different expectations, you know?
Yeah.
I say 12 episodes, but that's still less than 6 hours of TV.
Yeah, it's a whole lot. It's not, I mean, it's not a whole lot.
They're 20-minute episodes.
And I will absolutely admit that I have given way more than 6 hours of my life to TV that I knew was bad.
Haven't we all?
I'm so frustrated that I went back and finished Veronica Mars, even though I knew I was not going to enjoy it. I watched
didn't like
the whole
that show?
thing. No, I didn't.
Oh.
Love Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
The actors in the show were great. It's just that I honestly felt like the show touted itself as being smarter than it actually was.
Oh, that's fair. That's also a reason why, almost now out of spite, I refuse to start Supernatural. Because I know deep down it's my kind of trash. And that's not to discredit. It's not a deep show, though. Let's make no illusions about that. But it's exactly the kind of show I know I will get sucked into, and I don't have the bandwidth to dedicate 14 seasons. I just don't.
It's 15 seasons.
Even worse.
And Aaron...
And going, right? It's still going.
No, it ended finally.
See, subconsciously, I have not completed watching the 15th season, so it's never ended for me.
Just the brothers go on and on.
I fucking...
forever in their adventures.
I unabashedly fucking love Supernatural.
And the thing is, I probably would. I just can't give myself to it.
It's our friend Heather and your former employee at Things' fault that I started watching the damn show in the first place.
Oh my God, so many things are her fault. Let's be honest.
Yep. But like once I started getting in, it's like, well, I can't stop. Also, I don't want to.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I became a lot more fascinated with the work. Like Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki hit that point where they understood that their celebrity could be used for something completely different that had nothing to do with their show.
Right.
And then they instilled that philosophy into everyone who started a CW superhero show.
Yeah.
There would be no DC universe on CW if it weren't for Supernatural, and there wouldn't have been Supernatural if there hadn't been Buffy.
Oh yeah, no, they completely lead to each other.
Yep.
Well, speaking of shows that I personally didn't want to end, you want to roll into Peacemaker thoughts? Series Peacemaker thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But first, this is a good place to take a break. And we're back. I don't know why I'm doing it that way. That's just fun. Whatever. Smart.
I like how
Just-
time stopped for other people, but it kept going for us.
Ooh.
That's how time travel works, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll never know what happened in between.
Ooh, they
Unless-
will because it's
unless you-
live streamed.
Yeah.
Not
and
the
they can-
podcast people.
Yeah, but the podcast people can watch the video.
Yeah, it's on the Patreon
Fine. Well, that costs money.
and the Twitch channel.
And the YouTube.
Okay, never mind. I don't know. I don't know internet.
Unless we actually paused it. Woo.
That would be weird. Let's not do that.
That would be weird.
Sounds like
yes.
a lot of work.
I thought I knew what I was getting into when Peacemaker started. I
Yes.
watched the Suicide Squad. I enjoyed John Cena's take on a character that I have thought was dumb since I first encountered him when I was 11 years old. Because he's a dumb fucking character.
He is dumb. Because he was a Carlton Comics character, I believe, initially. Yeah.
And is the character that Alan Moore based the comedian on for The Watchmen.
Yes, and boy,
Which
are
is
they even
really
different in
weird.
comic forms. Yeah. Oh,
They are. Like
Yeah.
everything that John Cena gave us in Suicide Squad, it's like that's not the comic book character at all.
no.
It's a lot more interesting than the comic book character is.
I didn't expect. I knew I was going to have fun because I
Mhm.
like John Cena. His take on Peacemaker's hilarious, and I've never been disappointed in a James Gunn anything.
Yep.
But I forgot how really well James Gunn is at taking like slices of life or personal issues and finding like that really tender emotional core and
Mhm.
just grabbing it and being like, in between people getting blown up, I'm going to pull this existential personal crisis out of this character that we all get to now watch and analyze while, they're shooting a space cow.
Mhm.
Like case in point, obviously folks, there would be spoilers here. I did not expect in the last episode to be brought to tears by the actor who plays Diebeard. I know it's horrible to say that.
Economos.
Economos in that
John
part
Agee.
when he's explaining why his beard looks that way to another one of the butterflies. Like I was not ready to be like that emotionally moved. It's like what the hell, man?
Mhm.
This is the bombastic ending. Why are you giving me feels right now?
Well, and I mean, the pitch is a joke.
Mhm.
Like they set it up as a joke, but then the answer is very much not a joke.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, no, you're right. Like for the entire season, it's a running gag until it stops being a gag. And it's just stuff like that he does. That's amazing. When Peacemaker has the showdown with his dad, like you think it's going to be more drawn out, and it's not. And it's this weird moment where you're like, yeah, shoot your dad in the head. And then you realize, like, know how much of a piece of shit your dad is? It would still mess with you to then shoot your dad in the head.
It's like we were talking about in the earlier segment. That's the response of Jet for having horrible things done to him, so he's going to kill an entire village. It's like,
yeah,
no. I know that these horrible things happened. That's not how this should be resolved.
right.
Because that's not a resolution.
Objectively, like the murder part, all the murder parts aside, that is an element of life that I'm sure a lot of people can really relate to. Or like your parents are, like racist or have a lot of really shitty takes or emotionally abusive. In this case, all of the above, to the nth degree. And he sees that, and he is and was raised by that mentality, and as an adult is working to be better, to do better, doesn't always get there, which is why, you know, he's calling people mean names like Diebeard. But all of that to say, it doesn't change the fact that that's your parent and you fucking love them. And most people cannot separate one from the other. Most people do not easily, even if you recognize the problem, it's not as simple as just walking away.
It is nigh impossible to do that.
Unless you're me, in which case it's, you know, you're dead inside, no problem. But that, I know that that's actually like probably more messed up than the more common decision element
that's
of
just
like
a different form of it's a different solution to the same problem. It doesn't mean it's a better solution. It's a different solution with its own sets of problems.
Yes.
I mean, we're always telling each other as a community, if people in your life are toxic, don't have those people in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when you are related by blood, all of a sudden that's not okay.
No, you're right. But it still doesn't make it any easier to cut those people out, even if you know they are horrible for you.
It also assumes that there are absolutes and that this is a solution that should be applied to all problems. It's the same. Excuse you. Jesus.
It's like right outside your door, isn't it?
It was just it ran down the street. It didn't run down the street. It drove down the street. It's a car. It doesn't run. Anyway, the whole cancel culture narrative, or when someone is canceled because they've done something horrible and wrong, the problem with that is that cuts them off from resources that they could have to actually change their behavior.
Right.
Instead of it's like, oh, well, we just don't want to deal with them anymore. It's like, well, that means there's still a problem. It just means there's someone else's problem. And at some point, the problem should be solved, or at least better managed. So
yeah, if there's never a point for learning and the potential for redemption, then why are any of us trying anything?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But at the same time, like, whose job is it to you know, lead that horse to a different trough of water? You know, like sometimes like you don't have the emotional maturity of your own to handle someone else's shortcomings, or the bandwidth to guide them in the right direction. Especially like if it's a situation where like, I know you know better because you lecture other people about the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just you are choosing to ignore your own faults that you point out in others. I'm not here for that.
It usually means that my take is that we don't really choose who we're going to be that agent of change for, or who's going to be that agent of change for us. And it may not even be people in our circle that we regularly interact with. It could be a complete stranger that suddenly you hear those words that you need to hear that you already know, and you realize, fuck.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And I don't mean to like just have be like a bunch of whatabouts. I just get fired up about this particular topic.
I also, and that's one of the things that Peacemaker brings out. Like that's one of the amazing things about this show is it was supposed to be a goofy superhero show, or at least one that we all knew. Okay, it's James Gunn, it's the Suicide Squad, it's Cena. This is going to be batshit insane from the word go.
And
which it is.
Which it is. But it also is exactly what Aaron's been talking about that Gunn does. That it's like, but also we're going to talk about some shit. And then when we're done talking about shit, you're going to sit on your couch and go, what the fuck did we just watch? And talk about some shit.
Right.
And Zach is pointing out, like, in the Suicide Squad, spoilers if you haven't seen that yet, he is a character who is more than willing to kill his teammates in order to fulfill the mission. And
Peace at
that,
any cost. That's his thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then by before the end of the series Peacemaker, you see him changing and like, I don't know, humanizing his teammates a little more,
Mhm.
and recognizing that, okay, yeah, this is a goal, but I shouldn't be okay with killing my peers to achieve that goal. There has to be a better solution.
Yeah, I mean, he even
Mhm.
starts to have that turn, I think, around episode 3. Because in Suicide Squad, he has that line, like, I adore peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, or children I have to kill to get it. And
Mhm.
the scene with the senator, they know that the senator is likely a butterfly. The family's a maybe. And I think it's when they first reveal that it's both the parents. He gets the orders to like kill all of them. And he's like, he just can't do it.
Oh, it's revealed at that time that all 4 of them
All
are.
of, yeah. And
Like,
even
all the
then, he's
children.
like, it's a kid. It's a kid.
Mhm.
Thankfully, he has vigilante.
Which Vigilante, like, again, this
Not at
depiction of
all like the
Vigilante
comic character.
has nothing
Nothing.
except the costume. The costume
Yeah.
is the only thing.
Hmm.
Vigilante in DC Comics is pretty close to their version of the Punisher.
Mhm. A better depiction of what Vigilante was like was the version of Vigilante that they used on Arrow.
Yeah. And here
This
he's
was
kind of
not
Deadpool.
that. Hmm?
Here,
Sort of. He's
Oh, I
I
did not even realize that was supposed to be the same character.
oh yeah.
yeah.
They're very different.
Yeah, like, and I don't
Yeah.
I don't have a love for either one of these characters from the comics because, like, Peacemaker was ridiculous looking, and like, who wears orange and a weird toilet bowl on your head as
Yeah.
a helmet, and
Like,
then Peacemaker or Vigilante, it's like you're a vigilante in a universe full of costume vigilantes, and you chose Vigilante as your
yeah.
superhero name.
Literally the only comic character I like that I knew was going to be a somewhat character in Peacemaker was Amanda Waller.
Mhm.
I knew we were going to get a couple shots of the wall, and I was like, yeah, because anytime you get Amanda Waller on screen, I'm happy.
That's because it's Viola Davis, and she's fucking great.
Amanda Waller was great when it was fucking who played Amanda Waller in Smallville? Pam Grier?
Well, that seems too smart, but that's probably true.
It wasn't a bit, it was like 2 episodes when the Rogues were hired to take down. It was like the last season, so there was way more capes and stuff.
Mhm.
And Killer Frost like failed at taking down the streak.
Hmm.
So when he goes back to report that he screwed up, like, he's sitting in this small room where like his powers are clearly being negated. And Amanda Waller comes in and says, I need you to sign this, confirming or something like that you failed at the mission or that you're part of Task Force X. And he signs it. Then she pulls a gun out, and as it pulls away, you hear the shot go off, and then you hear her say, welcome to the Suicide Squad. And that's it. I was like, oh yeah, that's Waller. The only person who's gotten Batman to back down.
Mhm.
And yes, it was Pam Grier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh.
back to
Sorry.
the depiction of Vigilante. I've also got IMDb up, so I can actually say all of these actors' names because, man, if you're a casting director, please hire any and all of this cast.
Yeah.
Freddie Stroma played Adrian Chase. I don't think I've ever seen this kid in anything, and he was. I've never seen a depiction of. Innocent isn't the right word, but a completely innocent sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally correct.
Because he kills people because that's what you're supposed to do to bad people, right? Everything that he does makes sense to him in his head because he's a sociopath and actually does not understand how the world works. It's fascinating to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting juxtaposition because Peacemaker's whole thing is, at any cost, like, no matter what, including like kill men, women, and children. He says that, but that's not necessarily true, or at least not over the course of the show. And like, how true that was before the events of the Suicide Squad are not there for us to know. But just based on this series, like, that, he's not actually living up to that phrase, whereas Vigilante kind of is. He doesn't really, like, there are no emotional or philosophical influences. He's just like, oh, we need to kill that guy? Okay, here we go.
And there's a weird kind of parallel between, it's not as extreme, but the way Peacemaker's father treats him and how Peacemaker kind of treats Vigilante in the beginning of like, listen, you're a loser. Leave me alone. Like, I don't want to hang, and like, stop it. We're not friends. Like, knock it off. And that, relationship evolves over the show. I think as Peacemaker, the character evolves and realizes that he has to quit pushing people away. That's how you get my dad,
Yeah. But it makes perfect sense that he thinks that that is his love language.
Yeah.
Because all of the people that he interacts with, he calls them names, calls them losers. It's like, oh, because that's how your father taught you to interact with people that you think you're supposed to love or care about.
And speaking of his father, is there ever a time where Robert Patrick hasn't played a character that can just send chills down your spine? I know he's played good guys before, but
Agent Doggett, he did not send chills down my spine on the X-Files.
No, that's true. As Agent Doggett, but like, basically, if he's ever the bad guy or a bad guy, he's highly disturbing.
Oh yeah, I think he really sunk his teeth into the fact that it's like, I get to play a completely racist, neo-Nazi, terrorist supervillain.
Yeah.
Who is also a shitty father. Okay, I'm in. This is like, I haven't done this before.
Right.
Just like,
this
really
is 100% not me. Done.
Yeah.
I like, that's a great challenge to have as an actor. And he was terrifying. And I'm glad we still get him in season 2.
That was so good. I love the idea that Peacemaker cannot physically or emotionally just kill his dad away. That scene of that is essentially father and son having beers on the porch at the end is so unsettling or upsetting that we know he's going to carry his dad's ghost with him forever.
Maybe not forever. Hopefully not forever.
Hopefully not forever, but it's going to be
definitely through season 2.
Yeah. Norm mentioned the helmet. I don't think we're done with the scabies helmet. I feel like it's going to show up sometime in season 2 as a gag. I was really worried at first in that final episode that Leota had accidentally grabbed the scabies helmet. It's like, is that how they're going to kill the space cow with scabies? Because that's not above James Gunn to do that.
This is true.
But I don't think scabies is deadly, but it's an alien.
Maybe to a space cow.
Whatever, yeah.
But still, what was the torpedo? Was it just called torpedo helmet?
The human torpedo.
Yeah. Which always makes me think of Bullet Boy from The Tick. Fire me, boy.
Yeah.
Was it the human bullet?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was something dumb.
And of course, the uncle in Arrested Development. Shoot me. Look at me. I took down an army man. I love taking down an army man.
Yeah, I think I never stopped being shocked.
No.
After every episode.
And I appreciate that, Peacemaker and Harcourt develop feelings for each other, but it didn't become a cliche of like the wounded tough guy and the two people that are closed off find the common ground and start dating.
Right.
There are feelings for each other, but I still don't see them actually dating in season 2.
No. I don't think that's their story arc. Their story arc is Harcourt's story arc was learning to trust a team and also learning how to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I really enjoyed her story arc of, and that's Jennifer Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first find out that she knows that that Myrn by Chukwudi Iwuji is also one of the butterflies. Once it like it's let on that she already knows that, it's like
Right.
because that's because you're the leader. You have to learn how to lead these people. You already know how to do the job. You have to learn how to lead other people to do the job. And
Right.
I think that came across really well. It's like, oh, neat.
No, I definitely, yeah, that exactly.
What
Yes.
I would enjoy seeing, and is always kind of humorous, because it breaks the trope of, like them getting together. Not that it's like unheard of, but you don't see it that often. Is if come the beginning of the next season, they've already had a thing and it's over, and now that's the thing that they butt heads about, is like why it was not a good relationship, but funny.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
There's also a small part of me, since I know that Leota and her spouse in episode 1 talk about what they're going to name their kid.
Mm-hmm.
I find there's some potential humor in season 2 of one of them thinking that, yeah, he's a dick, but he's got really strong genes. What if we ask him to be the donator? And like, it'd be like, no, that is the worst. No, you. And not even because he's white. That's got nothing to do with it. We will never hear the end of it if Peacemaker is the biological father of our kid. We will not hear the end of it.
We will never hear the end of it if I give birth to the grandkid of the white dragon.
Yeah. No, you can't do that. You
Oh
can't.
God, that
no.
means it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
at least even the conversation doesn't have to happen, but the comedic lines that will come out of that scenario.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I really liked Danielle Brooks as Leota Adebayo, and Elizabeth Faith Ludlow was Kia.
That's it.
Yep.
Danielle Brooks, who did almost every stunt they would let her do.
Nice.
That's
so
fantastic.
when you see her jumping and getting knocked around, like that's pretty much her every time.
I first came across her for Orange is the New Black. She's one of the few characters that, if memory serves, she was there for the whole series and has like some really good arcs. She is
okay. That's where I remember her from. That makes sense.
She is really great at embodying the character development that is written for her characters.
Good.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Based on Orange is the New Black and then her arc in this, I'm like, she really knows how to be that character who is going through life changes and like learning new things and becoming a different person.
I'll be honest. I think the fight scene between Judo Master and Harcourt and Adebayo, I think that was my favorite of the fight scenes. Because I was really looking forward to seeing Harcourt fight Judo Master. It's like, yes, I actually want to see someone who's trained to do that type of hand-to-hand combat go against Judo Master. It's one thing to watch Peacemaker do it, but because he just keeps picking up and throwing him around when he can get a hold of him. But her, it's like, no, she's just trained to kill everything.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Although I did love Economos' fight with Judo Master.
every fight that Economos was in was very.
Economos' shining moment was definitely the chainsaw through the gorilla.
Yes. And I love the fact that knowing who potentially started hair metal in the 70s and getting to use the chainsaw is what made Peacemaker be like, you're fucking cool. Speaking of which, I will be really disappointed if they don't at least release a playlist of all the music and songs used in Peacemaker.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm pretty sure they have.
I haven't seen it yet, but I demand it.
As a side note, Merrick turned me on to this. If you're on Instagram, look up Steve Agee's Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but he's also just a very skilled and very talented photographer.
Huh.
Oh, that's cool.
And he has some behind the scenes shots of people he's worked with over the years that it's like, oh, that's a rather poignant photo of that particular person.
That's cool.
Oh, okay. What I thought was really, or I was really excited to see when when they first introduced his character, because in my mind, Steve Agee and Brian Posehn like belong together. They have performed together in many things, but I've seen Steve Agee out in the world alone. I feel like this is the first time Brian Posehn. I've seen him do things without Steve, but never vice versa before this. These are good photographs.
Yeah, they're really
and
good.
Apparently he's dating Dana DiLorenzo, who was in Ash vs. Evil Dead. She's oh my gosh, she's the main woman in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So she would always, I guess on Instagram, she would always post kind of like live photos of the two of them watching Peacemaker together and being like, my boyfriend's so talented and cute and I like his beard. It was very sweet and charming. Yeah. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like totally distracted by this Instagram account now.
Oh yeah.
That's okay. And it's also a pretty good spot we kind of start wrapping up too, you know. So
I think we'd planned on Trek, but I think that's gonna have to wait.
Yeah, because I feel like we'll have a lot of words on Trek. Especially like next week, we can talk about like where we think Discovery's going. Because I'm hoping by next week we'll actually see species C10 or whatever it's called.
We hope so. Tomorrow night's episode is called Rosetta, which leads one to believe that there's going to be a first contact and an attempt at communication.
Yes, but it also gives us a chance to talk about that and the premiere of Picard. So
yeah, we can make it a 2/3 Star Trek episode.
Two for Trek.
And depending on everyone's weekend plan, maybe, an advanced review of The Batman.
I am going Friday, so
we're making plans to go this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Batman.
Yeah,
it was like the
it's
what? The
pretty
Batman?
good reviews.
Oh, I didn't realize it was already like here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So spoilers. It's March.
Right, I know.
Yeah, like today. when did that happen?
I don't know. It was like February for 3 months, and now it's March.
Yeah.
Except also February blew by.
I had my free ticket, so I'm seeing it like at 11:30 on Friday or something. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Bean Rita.
And I am Capel Hashitani.
And we will talk to you all next week. Pointy point. Way to end on a solid, Bean. Just yawn it out.
I couldn't help it.
And good night.